Stuart McClure is the co-author of this international bestseller. It's called Hacking Exposed. He's in town today to participate in a discussion entitled Hacking Exposed, Preventing Next Generation Threats Today. Stuart McClure joins me from the Chateau Laurier. Thank you very much for joining me, Stuart.
Thanks for having me, Janet.
I guess, first of all, I have to ask you, what is hacking costing the global economy on an annual basis?
Well, it depends on who you believe, certainly. There are a lot of studies out there that take a look at each worm. It's usually event-based or event-driven. So, for example, the latest worm that comes out affects corporations. There's usually an estimate that's done, and just about every worm that's of a sizable nature that comes out and is publicized is usually in upwards of $1 billion in hard costs, either in downtime, availability, or in some kind of problem or resource that needs to be put into place to fix the problem. So it is a huge, huge issue, and it does have direct cost and expense to companies that take security seriously, or that are forced to take security seriously because they get hit by a worm or a virus.
Okay, so if we multiply every incident by, say, $1 billion, we could probably get a figure.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Okay. And they often do. They try and kind of total it all up, and it's usually based on an incident as opposed to forecasting, because it's very difficult to understand what worms and threats are going to be kind of viable and popular at a particular time of the year. Okay, so are most people hacking for fun or for profit? You know, that's a great question. Basically, there's two motivations in a nutshell. There's ego. There are people that are just driven by ego and wanting to prove that they're smarter than everybody else. And then there are money-driven exploits and worms and viruses, and those tend to be from organized crime, to some degree organized governments that want to test certain things out on the internet. But by and large, it is ego, and it is attempts to kind of show and prove to the world that they are smart. It's unfortunate that it takes you know, doing so much destruction and damage to boost an ego up. So when you're talking about the typical hacker, I'm thinking they're guys in their early 20s. Am I right? You know, it totally depends. There are, we call 3 different tiers of hackers. The first is those folks that are just top of the top. They are the best of the best. They are the folks that you give a computer system to, and they can hack into it no matter what's installed, no matter what product's there, no matter what antivirus, no matter what intrusion prevention. But that's a very small group of folks, maybe 15 in the world. Then you have tier 2, which is by and large the bulk of the hackers. And these are the people that are IT savvy. They may not really program on a day-to-day basis, but they know how to at least utilize the exploits and vulnerabilities that are found from those tier 1s. Then there's the tier 3 sets of hackers, and these folks are what we call the script kiddies. These are the ones that, you know, the ankle biters, the ones that take all of the work that everybody else has done and scripting it to, with their main goal of just hacking as many systems in a 24-hour period or a period of time as humanly possible. And whoever can hack the highest number of systems will, quote-unquote, win in their peer groups. So those tend to be the three types of hackers. And then, of course, each one of them is either motivated primarily by ego or by money. Okay, I've been reading a little bit about some of the hackers that are extorting money from people who run websites, saying, we're going to shut you down and you're going to be out of money unless you pay us $400, which then turns into $40,000, and it never ends. Right. Absolutely. We've been called into many, many blackmail cases, extortion cases, where they threaten to release certain information to the underground or to public in an effort to damage the company. And if you give into that, and if you allow yourself to kind of play that game, it's kind of like terrorism. There is no end to it, potentially. A great example of that was we had a call up in California once. The hacker had blackmailed them for a simple $100, and they decided, okay, to pay that $100. That moved to $200, then that moved to $2,000, then it moved to $20,000 and $200,000, and at the end of the month, they were just fed up. They couldn't deal with it anymore, and luckily they had gotten over the $5,000 FBI federal crimes limit, so they were able to hand it off to the FBI and have them run with it. But it is a painful process, something that, you know, you generally do not want to get into in terms of negotiating with them. Okay, so we know that these people are out there and that they're doing this. Can we catch them? Do we catch them? We do catch them, and we can catch them without a doubt. Some are more difficult than others. There are some that are very sophisticated that you're never going to be able to really, you may be able to track down, so you may be able to tell that they came from China, for example, or Pakistan or India, but you will not be able to get cooperation with other governments to go and knock on their door and pull them out of their bed or out of their chairs. So it's actually quite easy to track them down. It may take a lot of work. But the mechanics of tracking them down are pretty straightforward. Primarily it's doing anything with that information. So most companies just want the problem to go away. If they've been hacked up, they just want the thing fixed. They don't really care about where it came from. Usually federal authorities will step in if it's a certain risk to infrastructure or a certain cost involved, and they'll go about and try and track them down. But again, by and large, the hardest part is to actually pull them out of the house or the cyber cafe, wherever they're running from.
So who's winning the war here? The hackers, or are we?
It is very much a cat and mouse game. Hackers try and be, by their very nature, they try and be smarter than the rest of us, right? So every time we put something in place that solves a problem that they introduced earlier, they get around it, and then we fix it again. And it's very reactionary. There are a lot of things that you can do, though, to be preventative and not allow at least what we call the low-hanging fruit of hacks to occur. And that usually involves products and process. If you put in place, it may not mitigate 100% of the risk, but it certainly gets you far along the way so that you're going to be more secure than the neighbor, right, or the bank across the street, or the financial service group across the street, so that they may turn to that target instead of you.
Okay, so when we look at normal security for, say, your home or whatever, if you show that you have security and good locks and whatever, people generally pass you by. When you're online with the internet, etc., as a business, what are some of the key flags that you can put up that would tell a hacker, yeah, it's just not worth it going here, I'll try the next guy down the road?
Good question. Firewalls, very strong firewalls, are a great place to start. An educated user population, so educating the employees of that company to not give information out to people that may call in, or people that may be posing as authorities within the company. Technologies besides firewalls, things like perhaps a web server or an e-commerce server that has some extra security around the application itself, for example, a shopping cart, and showing them that you're not only using encryption, but you're using other technologies to help mitigate the risk. So all these things can help. Also, another part is being reactive. So if a company simply takes these attacks and doesn't do anything about it, the hackers can naturally feel like they can continue to do it. But by reacting to it, it sends a deterrent to the hacker to say, look, we know you're there, we know what you're doing, and if we want to, we're going to track you down.
Okay. Stuart, we're out of time, but congratulations on, I think it is the 4th edition of your book, Hacking Exposed? That's right, 4th edition of Hacking Exposed. It's a heavy-duty read, but thanks for joining us today.
All right, thank you much, Janet.
Okay. Stuart McClure is the co-author of this book, Hacking Exposed. We'll be right back.